Hi guys, welcome back to a Point Dose of 3. Today
So how was it? I guess we all three of us can talk about being at the Pearson Site Center and then just that whole process because it's stressful.
It's anxiety. You get anxiety because there's a lot of rules. You don't even know if you're following the rules. There's just a lot of things to take into account.
Yeah. So my thing when I was there, first of all, I'm already anxious. I walk in. And there's a lot of other very anxious people because you have people there taking the MCAT, the LVN, the NCLEX. Well, not the LVN because they take the similar. There's a lot of different tests going around. It's not just people who are nursing students there. There's like other
engineers too,
other majors as well.
Yeah.
So it's just a room full of high anxiety and stress. And I remember trying to talk to myself, telling myself all these positive things.
Affirmations.
Like, Linda, you study your butt off. Like
you know this.
I see one girl in the corner crying. I see this other dude in the other corner praying. And like, I started to feed off their emotions. Like, oh my God. And I started
It's that empath.
Yeah. No, because they started to freak me out. I was like, oh, now I'm scared. This dude is literally kneeling on the floor praying. And I'm like, okay, let me just walk to the bathroom. Because just that room itself is very high anxiety.
Yeah.
If that will freak you out like too much, maybe stand by the outside of the door so you can hear when they call your name to go in. But just that room itself, everyone is anxious.
To give you guys a little, I always make sure I'm the first person at that testing site. For me, I was always the first person to get there. So no one else was there. So I didn't see anybody. It was just me.
Wow.
I did that so that things like that didn't happen with me.
Oh, that's good.
For me, I waited into the dot of the time because I already knew it was gonna be like a lot of people just anxious. So I was like, I can't because then I start freaking out myself. So I waited until I think it was 8 a.m. and so I went in at 8 a.m. because it tells you to be 30 minutes before. So I was there 30 minutes before, and then I went to sign in because first of all, once you walk in the building, you have to go to the security. Then the security gets your name. Then they tell you which elevator to go to. Then they take you to the floor. And then you have to find the office.
Yeah, mine was at the end of the hall.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
And then I'm nervous. Then I come in. And then I come in, I'm like, hi. And then he told me, take a number and then we'll call you. And I said, what? Like, I couldn't even process what the hell he said. And then I'm like, I took the number. And then they called you. But then, even then, you're nervous. And then you're looking around. And everybody, I think, I even saw people with notes, reviewing. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm trying to not look.
You're not supposed to do that.
You're not supposed to do that.
You're actually supposed to not bring notes. So you'll get in trouble.
Don't bring your notebook.
Don't bring your notebook. Don't bring notes. Don't bring any of that. You're not allowed to bring that at all.
And then I'm like, okay. And then I turn off my phone because I usually, when I'm when you go for school and you take a test and you put headphones on to just zone out, you can't do that here. So because you have to turn off your phone and then
so part of the check-in process, you're doing good with the check-in process.
Yes.
So what did you do?
So they give you a number and then they called you up with the number and you're waiting there. Once when they give you up the number, then they tell you, okay, let me see your phone, click on it, turn it off, and then you're clicking on it and they give you a little seat back. And then I was wearing a hoodie, so I was really scared that they might think that I'm, because they are very strict. So I'm wearing a hoodie and I'm just wearing my glasses and I just brought my headphones and my phone and my ID, I believe. That was it. Then he puts the headphones and everything and I'm like, that's all I have. That's all you have? And I'm like, yeah. So then they give you a locker key. And then I brought my water bottle. And in the locker, you put all your belongings there. You shouldn't have no belongings with you before you walk into that to take your test.
Really, the only thing you can have is your ID. And
mm-hmm.
your glasses.
But even then, they check your glasses.
They check your glasses.
Yeah. You can't have a hair clip. Yeah, wearing a hair clip.
They made me take my hair down. I was like,
they will make you put a rubber band. Not like you can't have hair clips.
No hair clips.
No water bottles.
No coats or jackets. That has to be taken off. So let's say you're wearing a t-shirt and you put a coat or jacket.
You have to take it off.
I suggest you wearing a sweater because you're gonna be cold because they're gonna make you take that jacket off.
Yeah, for my hoodie, they made me like flipped out, the hood, and then they checked, and I was like, I don't have nothing. And for my glasses, they made me take it out and then put it on their desk, and they looked all around my glasses and on the lenses to see if, I don't know, if there was nothing there. I don't know how people would do it, but
they know some stuff we don't know.
Yeah, they know something that we don't.
Some people have like those glasses where you hit the button and then all of a sudden they see everything.
Probably. No, there's glasses where you can record.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Ray-Bans came out.
The Ray-Bans,
that's right.
Yep.
So with the hoodie, and then they made me empty out my pockets, turn them inside out, and I did, and I was like, I don't have nothing.
Yeah. They take your fingerprints as well, so that's why you go through the
at the beginning
process from the beginning.
And they took a picture of you as well, and I was looking raggedy, and I'm like, this sucks, but okay.
And then they're strict. So when they do put everything in a little Ziploc bag, it's literally like a bag. It's once you open it, it opens. You can't reseal it back. It's not like it's literally once you peel the tag, it's open. You can't reattach it. So what they tell you, you put everything in there. Put everything in your locker, because there's some people that goes to the bathroom when they take their test, but they tell you what's in this bag has to stay in this bag until the end of your test.
And it can't be opened.
Yeah, so it can't be opened. So if you open it, your test has just been forfeited. You're done, because they don't want you to go let me check my phone while I'm going to the bathroom. No, everything must remain in that bag until you're done with the test. And you have to give them that bag at the end, and they'll open it for you and then give you your belongings. So during your break, don't say I need to check the time or something, because your test will be voided. They
absolutely not.
And
I was going to say another thing. It may or may not be applicable depending on the state, depending on, I don't know. I haven't really kept up with COVID. Have you heard anything about COVID?
Because I was going to say something about that too.
Because I remember when I took my first exam, they said that basically, keep in mind the MCAT is 7 or 8 hours, something like that. So if you didn't take your exam with a mask on, and then all of a sudden you go your practice when you were studying, and then all of a sudden you go to the exam and now you have to take the exam with a mask on, that's really different.
So
practice taking the exams with the mask on. And also what you can do is you can go on their website on Pearson, and you can choose your location and see what the current requirements are. And if it doesn't say it online, because some of them wouldn't say it, you can also call the facility, which I did, to see if I was going to have to wear a mask for my exam.
Did you have to?
I didn't, thank goodness.
I feel like I had to for some reason.
I didn't. I was so happy.
Yeah, because even they were telling us to practice and study with your mask on, so you can get into that mode and feeling of having to wear a mask the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was paranoid when I was taking my test, because again, I was used to taking tests at my house. Basically, they were just being through Zoom proctoring me. So I am very, I don't know, I have to read the question out loud. And then
you can't do
I
that.
was I couldn't do it. So I had to, I don't know if I asked Linda, I don't know, but I found out weeks before the exam. So I started practicing in a way that I didn't have to read the question out loud, because, we're in a testing site, so you cannot do that. So I started reading it not out loud, in order for me to when the test come, I wouldn't do that and probably get in trouble. I also got even paranoid, because during the test, since I was falling asleep and I had a hoodie, I was I'm gonna take it off, and I'm but I don't know if they're gonna. So I raised my hand. I'm I am hot. Can I take my hoodie off? I had to ask, because I was scared.
No, you actually can take it off, but as long as you put it back here where they can see it, it has to be in the back of the chair.
They told me, they were you could take it off, but you have to hang it in the back of the chair, and I did.
Yeah, but the thing is, you do have to raise your hand for everything. So you want to go to bathroom break, you have to raise your hand. You can't just get up from your chair and leave. You have to raise your hand. When you're done with the exam, you have to raise your hand, and they'll come to you and take you out the room. And another thing that helped with me is that, so they give you noise cancellation headphones and earplugs, so you can choose between the two, or you can get both. For me, I got both. So I put the earplugs in my ear and then plus the head cancellation to tune out everybody, because there's some people that plays with the pen, the markers, or they're reading to themselves. They're like,
you know what I would
that drives me crazy.
You know what I would hear?
Clicking.
You know, clicking, yeah, that drives me crazy.
You know what I would hear? I'd hear,
yeah. I hear that. So if you have the noise cancellation things on, you should be good. Because at one point I was like, oh, maybe I don't need it, and I was like, no, with my focus and my concentration, I need to be able to be focused. So I had to tune out everybody. So get both. Yeah. It doesn't hurt to get both.
I got both, because I remember Linda telling me get both, and I'm like, okay.
I just got the buds.
No, I got both.
I don't like having them on my
Yeah.
It's too much.
And also I found out, because I remember, you know how they give you a marker and a scratch paper, but it's not a scratch paper. It's like a board, like a whiteboard kind of.
Yeah.
So that you can erase what you write.
So, you can erase it.
No,
you're not supposed to erase it. No.
So because my page got full. Yeah. You say full?
Yeah.
Full. Yeah, it got full. And then and so I had to raise my hand, and I had to ask for another whiteboard to keep continuing with my test. And so just keep that in mind. You cannot erase, and then it's not gonna be a paper and a pencil, it's a marker and like a whiteboard. And if it gets filled, you have to raise your hand, and then they will bring another one. And also I was freaking out, because after I finished, I raised my hand. I'm like, did I really just finish? And then like, can you come? And then I asked the person, like, is it done? And it's like, yeah, you're done.
It'll literally just cut off.
Yeah.
Like, no, like, oh, thank you for taking the exam. And that's all I knew. I was another person that was just a little testy part of the 10%, because they made me take the new gen too. Did you have to take the new gen? Oh, you were taking the new gen.
Oh my God, Linda.
That was so mad, because first of all, I sat there for the whole 265 questions, I think it was around that much. And then they trying to make me take the new generation just to test, like, you know, how it is. I was like,
did you take it? You didn't take it?
I took some, and then I was over it. So I was like, I'm not doing this. And I just exited out. Because, I was so irritated.
So when I took the MCAT, it's a little different than taking the NCLEX, but at the end, it'll tell you, do you want to avoid this test? And I just sat there and I was like, make sure you hit the right button.
No, that was
so I just sat there and I was like, I just like didn't want to commit until like I had to read it over and over and over to make sure I was going to hit the right button, because if not, your score is invalid. So it was just like, I was scared.
That will give me anxiety.
I was scared. I didn't want to hit it. I was like,
Yeah.
Oh, and also because I was sick, I had to bring tissue. I had tissue with me. They made me throw it away. And then
you can't have nothing.
And then they were like, if you need tissue, we'll give it to you.
Yeah.
And then I did need a tissue. So I had to raise my hand again, and they brought the tissue to me, and then I was like, where do I throw it away? And then they told me where to throw it away. Like everything, just if you're not sure, raise that hand.
Yeah, just raise your hand.
You do not want to get that test like canceled because of something minimal.
For real. Question. Mm-hmm. So you know when you're like out in that waiting room and there's like all those chairs, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you get there. And you've checked in. You know how you check in, you do the fingerprint, whatever, and then they tell you to go sit back down because someone's gonna take you to the room, right?
Yeah.
So you're just waiting there to get taken to the room. I remember because I retook the MCAT more than once. So you know, after a second time or whatever, like I'm feeling comfortable. Like this is my home now. You know, not really, but but I remember like sitting there and I was like, I'm gonna get anxiety. I'm just gonna start talking to somebody. So I started talking, and the girl's like, "Don't talk to me."
That would have pissed me off. Like I would have punched you in your face.
The girl was like, "Don't talk to me."
I would have been so annoyed.
I know, but I'm like,
I can see you doing that.
So I'm like talking to her, and she's just like, "Don't like." She's responding, but she's like low.
You can tell that
like
she's not
you can tell
to
she doesn't want to see that they that she's talking to me. And then, like, I'm talking to her, and the guy turns to look at me, and I'm talking, and he's like, he didn't say anything. Because I'm pretty sure you can talk.
You can talk, but a lot of the time, people are nervous and want to focus on being there and the present and about you can talk.
But that happened.
That's what I thought, too.
One girl, on the day that I was taking the test, this girl kept talking. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm like, I can't. Like,
the most I said was good luck to somebody. Like, we got this. Like, you can do it.
No,
I'm not having a whole conversation.
So she's talking, and she's talking about how she took, because she's an LVN, and she's talking how she was there like I don't know how many years ago there, and it was her birthday, and she thought she failed, and it was the worst day to take that test because it was her birthday, and she killed like her birthday. And I'm like,
oh, I didn't take it that far. I was
no,
just like,
girl. And then I'm like, I'm going to the bathroom so I could get away from her.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why she comes in the bathroom with me, and I'm like,
oh no.
My paranoid self would have thought like, oh, they implanted this person here to distract me. There's some other reasoning why she's following me to the bathroom and having a whole conversation.
She's working for them.
She's working for them. She's part of the government. They try to make me fail.
Hey, they want to see if we're here to cheat.
Exactly. No, for real.
no,
That's funny.
dude. So I go, I do my business, I come out, and then I'm washing my hands, and she comes out, and she's like, so how do you feel? And I'm like, no. And then,
See, that would have been too much. I would have thought like they up to something.
and then she's like, how do you feel? And I'm like, nervous. And then she's like, yeah, don't worry. Like, I took U-World, and he told me that I was going to pass. And in my head, I'm already like, you know,
that's too much. That's too much.
And she's still there to take the test just like you are, right?
Yes.
So I was like, how much advice can you give me? You're on the same level.
But you know, like she's telling me that like U-World, I told her like that the chances of her passing were high. And you know,
you're like, girl, you don't know my situation.
And then keep in mind the night before I took Usher,
oh,
and he was saying that I wasn't gonna pass. And she's like, yeah, the first time that I took it, when I took it, like I don't know how many years ago.
Kathy's like, good for you.
Yeah, she was like, you all said that I was gonna pass, and I did. So what did yours say? And I was like,
don't worry about it.
I was like, I just took a lot of questions. She's like, oh, okay. She's like, yeah, but you're gonna do great. And I'm
that's
like,
kind of weird, not gonna lie.
So
it's kind of weird.
And then
I wouldn't have liked that.
No, that's too much question.
And then then she goes in, and then right when I sit down, she sit down, and I'm like, no next to me.
But she sat next to you?
She sit next to me.
I would have for sure been paranoid.
And then right when I'm about to sit down, they come and call me, and I'm like, oh, that's
thank goodness.
Because,
see, I thought she sat next to you
during
inside the
exam.
test.
Oh no! During the exam, she sat like away from me. Thank God. Because you know I get this like you know you
need that mental
you need to be in your zone.
So long story short, if you're a talkative person like Jazmin, no, not you.
I didn't take it that
Jazmin, far. Or just want to conversate with somebody. No, just stay in your own little space because everyone there is nervous.
I did not take it that far.
Focus on taking the exam. Don't go and having a whole conversation with the people.
Okay, first of all,
people alone. I ain't talking about you. I'm talking about the people.
Okay, but now I want to say my part.
Say something.
The girl was sitting down looking real nervous, and this was my
everybody be looking nervous.
No, she was looking real nervous.
I said somebody was crying. My test is like.
That's true. She wasn't crying, but I could tell she was nervous. And I was like, don't worry, like we got it. I was like, what are you gonna? And I was trying to get her to focus. Like, what are you gonna do after? Like, you need to celebrate. And then she wasn't doing anything.
Cry after. A lot of people cry afterwards.
That's what I did.
That is very true. That's very true. I might have cried after that exam.
No, like,
what did you guys do?
Cried.
After the exam?
And I literally cried. And then cried until I got home. And then when I got home, I watched Netflix.
Oh, I think I went to a plant store.
That's how you're supposed to do it.
I got like Wendy's or something or Jack in the Box, and then went to watch Netflix.
I watched Netflix. I stayed in the couch, watched Netflix, and then went pick up my kid. But then I cried like the whole fucking car ride back home because I thought I failed.
Yeah. What about you?
I wanted to cry, but I did for sure call a bunch of people. I called my sister with my voice cracking, talking about, I don't think I passed. You really feel like you didn't pass. So I didn't pass, and they were trying to hype me up, like, no, I know you passed. Like, I know you did good. I feel like, I'm working on it in therapy. Like
confidence.
Just because people will say like a lot of positive things, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh no, you're just being
internalizing it. Actually,
make
it negative.
Leave that cancel out.
Yeah, so like even though like
even a compliment.
Yeah, compliments. I'm like, they're just being nice. It's not true. Da 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 da. So even though my sister, she was saying, you studied your butt off. Like, I know you did great. I know you passed. But to me, that's something you tell to somebody to calm them down. I'm like, you're not being real. You're being a fake ass hoe right now. Like, I was like, in my head, I was like, no. But she was very like supportive. And I think she was at my dad's house. I want to say, I went to my dad's house right after. My sister was there, like my niece and nephews. But I did not feel like I passed. And then I called my classmates. I text my little study group, my girls, and I was like, I don't think I passed. And then Heidi, super positive, Sam Malay, super positive. And they're like, no, I think you passed. Mind you, they were the ones who took it like a week before me, passed that 75. And they're like, I know you passed. And they, you know, said, do the Pearson VUE trick. I did it. And I got the good pop-up.
Question. So I know you said that a lot of people who said they took it said the same thing, where like, oh, I failed. They said that as well, right? During that time?
Yeah.
Did that help you feel a little bit more like comfortable?
No, because I know I'm different. Because like it's like hard on myself. I was like, hey, maybe I didn't pass. Maybe I didn't pass.
I know what you mean. It's just it's easier to give everyone else grace.
And then yourself grace.
Yeah.
But I did know. I knew of someone. I never met her in person, but I don't want to give like too much information. But so I know of a person who failed the test 4 times. And that's important of the studying that goes behind it, because the exam, of course, is challenging, and it's even more challenging when you don't put the time in behind it. Like, you can't wing stuff. Like, I know some people who just
are really good at it.
Yeah, they just go through life just winging
That's not
everything.
me.
Like, for this important exam, like, you have to put in the time studying.
Yeah.
And all transparency, I understood why she failed 4 times. And I'm not saying not to be like messed up or rude, because she was lacking the basics. Because I remember her asking some stuff in the group chat. It was like, oh, what is this? I was like, girl, safety. Obvious this person is dying. Like, but she was like lacking the basics until she joined our little study group, and the people I was with was like helping her, and they helped her like understand the basics, and she ended up passing.
But I feel like that sometimes happens because, and I say it because that's what I have observed in the field of nursing, that sometimes people just focus on memorizing because that's what has worked for them in the past, in the other major that they had
but
before
this is
nursing.
different.
But this is different. So because memorizing, they thought it worked. For this exam, like we said, memorizing does not work. You have to understand the why. Like the word,
break it down,
everything.
Like we said, the exam felt completely different. Like from all the stuff we used to study, like it felt different. Like when I was taking the exam, I'm like, what is this?
But you guys had the basic knowledge to be able to weave it all together, to map it together, to be able to come up with the answer.
To break it down, dude. Because it's like, I feel like I was arguing for my answer at some point. Like, I'm like, is this answer because of this and this and this? Like, you know?
And sometimes you don't even know if that was the answer, but they're like, this is what makes the most sense after putting everything together. Yeah.
And then that's another thing why it's very important to get together with a strong study group, because I think that girl before, she was studying by herself. And it's like, you can study by yourself, but you're still like lacking like the materials. Maybe you can join a group and they can explain it to you a little bit differently, where you can understand it better.
And also something like you said earlier, which I think should be stressed again, is like, it's so easy to study something that you know, like, and then you feel good.
Have a good time.
Then you feel good. Like, you're like, oh, I know it. Oh, I know it. But you gotta get uncomfortable. You gotta be like, oh man, I don't know this, to be able to get to a place where you're able to fill those gaps. So
exactly. And then also with the NCLEX, if you do fail, I don't know. If you do fail, you can get like a printout and a breakdown of like your weakest areas and where you score like the lowest. I don't know if we can do that for ourselves, even though we passed. I just think I just passed and I'm like, forget about it. But I know she was able to get like a printout of like, it'll score her like 50%, 20% of like her lowest and highest areas. So that'll be a good thing to also see, like where you lacked at during your exam.
Oh, that's good, because I didn't know like you could do that, because that's what I did when I failed the HESI the first time. I looked at my weakest, like I looked at all my stats and look at where I messed up the most, which was math, but that's because I didn't review it, and that helps you to see where you need to work on.
Yeah, and I was so proud of her when she like eventually passed, because it's not a good feeling to keep like failing over and over and over and over.
It's not.
No, because I feel like you begin to question, is this really for you? Am I doing the right thing? Should I find another major? Like, you know?
And those literally things that she was saying. And mind you, like like I said, she took it like 4 times, and she wasn't even part of my group. She didn't even go to my school area, but she ended up getting tutored by the people I was studying with, and like she ended up passing. I was like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
But it's just switch up your study habits. If you're failing, like you're failing for a reason. It's not because you're dumb, but it's literally because you may have to change up your study habits.
Like you're looking at something wrong. Like you're doing like it could be like a little tiny thing that you're doing
that would
wrong.
change your whole life.
Yeah.
And it's like you may not notice because you were just so in the motions. Because some people think a certain study routine helps them, but then later it's like, no, I could have done a little differently.
I'm gonna be honest, there's definitely been times where I thought that my study routine was good, and I was like, after like, I don't know, getting to a different class or something, be like, oh wow, this works better
it
for
works
me.
better.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And that's why I said it's good to have small groups, because they will teach you something. It's like, oh dang, I like the way you study. Let me incorporate this.
Yeah, I agree. I've learned really good study habits from people.
Yeah. But it's more more so like your study habits, not
for sure.
It's just like you have to switch up your study habits.
Yeah.
And don't keep doing the same thing over and over.
And just finding where your weaknesses are. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just for the Pearson site too, just, I know we said it earlier, but make sure your ID matches the name you register with, the names that you use, because that would be very sad.
And I feel like the least things that you bring to the test, the better.
Yeah.
Because
you don't have to worry about it. Some people even left their phones in a car. You live in the Bay Area, do not leave your phones in the car, because you're from the Bay Area, you know what happens in the Bay Area. You leave your phone or anything in the car.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, but get dropped off if you can. Leave your phone somewhere. Study your butt off. Need to be.
And if you have any doubts while you're taking the test, raise your hand. Just don't assume. Don't think that just because you have done a test before, this is different. Raise your hand and ask questions about if you could move, if you could do this, if you could do that, because every little thing could get you in trouble. In trouble, and you don't want to. Like, imagine you study so hard for you to, like, let's say you did something little, now your test is canceled.
Yeah, actually was I just remembered, but I was like reading Reddit stories before I went to go take my exam at Pearson, because I was like, I want to make sure I know everything and I don't mess up or whatever. And this girl said that she was taking the MCAT and she had her mask on, but it fell like below her nose, and she got in trouble. And I guess it fell again a second time, and like she was at the end of the exam basically, and they basically voided her exam.
No, I would
no, dude. I'll cry.
No, that was too anal.
Yeah,
that was
I saw that, and I was like, I don't want to go take the test here.
I would have felt personally attacked. I'm like, there's no reason
for a map.
That slips. That slips all the time.
I would say just make sure you're following the guidelines, and just make sure you read their rules and
ahead of time, so you can know what to expect. Even with the whole parking situation, if you can't do Uber or get dropped off, look at parking in the area. I didn't know this, but with my friend Didi, she had posted something on Instagram where they're saying like, oh, when you're over planner, where you overly think, literally put the testing site address in maps and look around the area. Use that view. You know how you can see around the area and see like what's the closest parking lot, if there's a parking lot, if there's a parking garage, so you can already know how to plan your trip there. Even then, another thing you can do is the night before, the day before you take your exam, see how traffic is around that time that you have to go there. So you can already know like if it's high traffic, if it's no traffic.
Yeah, that's what someone said is like the week before, let's say your exam's on a Friday, the week before on Friday around that time, plan that drive out and see what it's going to look like.
Yeah, the week of, sorry, that's what I meant. So you can already know. And go in there with confidence. You know you put in the work to get to that place to even take the exam. Just remain confident, take your time, take deep breaths. Don't second guess yourself. They say it over and over. If you choose one answer, if you choose A, stick with A. Don't go back and change your answer. Because I think it's either Archer or even Euro, maybe both. They'll tell you if you change your answer.
They do, like from wrong to right or right to wrong.
Yes, exactly, which is good. So you can see it's like, oh, I should have just stuck with my first guess.
I love those. Yeah,
same.
And also just keep in mind that the material does not change. It's the same material that you've been taught your whole year, your whole 2 years of nursing.
Just asked a different way.
But it's the same. Like 2 + 2 is always gonna be 4. It's just gonna be asked in different ways.
But 3 + 1 is also 4. So
I like that. Yep.
Whatever, Jazmin.
No, it's the same. She was helping. It's the same thing when she was saying it.
It was an analogy.
But you see how people perceive things differently. She was actually backing you up, like adding on to what you're saying.
Oh well.
But basically, yeah,
Whatever.
like just the material doesn't change. So just keep that in mind, because sometimes people, I don't know, I feel like sometimes people think the material changes and then that trips them over like answering the question. So
yeah.
But you put the work, you got there, you got it.
Take your time. Don't let your negative thoughts or your anxiety psych you out.
I agree.
Because your anxiety, if you can like kind of like practice on getting control of it before your exam, like do that, because it would suck that, you know, you won't do well because of your anxiety or something.
Yeah.
My anxiety, like, whew, my heart.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. Tune in next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of PD3 with your hosts Linda, Jazmin, and Kathy. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe at a potent dose of 3 so that you never miss an episode and your weekly dose.